Helios Prime floated like a great silver city in the endless black sky. It was the largest space station in the galaxy, orbiting the bright star Sora 7. Ships from hundreds of worlds came here. Their engines glowed like tiny stars as they docked. Inside, thousands of beings walked the wide metal halls, tall ones, short ones, some with scales, others with fur or smooth skin. Today was the most important day in Earth's history. The Galactic Council, the leaders of all known worlds, had gathered for one final vote. Earth had waited for 10 long years. They had proved their technology was strong. They had followed council laws, but many still did not trust them. Some thought Earth was young and dangerous. Captain Daniel Cross stood at a large window, looking out at the stars. His reflection stared back at him. Short dark hair, sharp eyes, and a face that showed both hope and worry. He wore the black uniform of Earth's defense forces. His job was to protect Earth's leaders at the summit. But in his heart, he wanted more. He wanted Earth to be seen as an equal. He wanted peace. A soft voice called from behind. "Captain, we're ready." Daniel turned. Dr. Ellen Wright stood there, dressed in the white and blue robes of Earth's delegation. She was older, wise, and careful with her words. She had led Earth's talks with the Council for years. Daniel nodded. "How are the others?" "Worried," she said. "The Council seems divided." Daniel had heard the same. Some races had already promised to vote yes. Others had stayed silent. A few had openly said Earth was not ready. They walked together through the shining halls of Helios Prime. The walls hummed with the sound of the station's engines. Alien guards stood at every corner. Daniel watched them closely. He didn't trust anyone today. As they reached the Grand Hall, the Council's main meeting place, Daniel noticed something strange. Two guards were whispering to each other. They looked tense. One of them glanced at Daniel, then quickly turned away. Daniel frowned. He leaned toward Dr. Wright. "Something feels wrong." She gave him a worried look. "You're just nervous." Daniel wasn't sure. His instincts had saved his life before. He decided to check. He walked over to the guards. "Is there a problem?" Daniel asked, keeping his voice calm. The taller guard shifted. "No problem, sir. All is secure." Daniel studied their faces. They were hiding something, but he didn't push. He couldn't make a scene before the vote. He returned to Dr. Wright. "Keep your guard up," he whispered. The Grand Hall was a vast, round chamber with seats rising high along the walls. At the center stood the speaker's platform. The council leaders sat there, tall in their long robes. Their faces were unreadable. Daniel and Earth's delegation took their seats. The speaker, a tall being with pale skin and glowing eyes, raised his hand. "The final vote on Earth's membership begins in 1 hour," the speaker announced. The room fell silent. The air felt heavy. Daniel sat on the edge of his seat. His heart pounded in his chest. He knew the hour ahead would decide Earth's future. But deep inside, something else gnawed at him. A warning, a sense that danger was near. Far above them, in the dark corners of Helios Prime, shadows were already moving. Vorik Zell stood in the darkness of his ship. It was hidden in the shadow of Helios Prime. His yellow eyes watched the glowing station through a wide glass window. His body was tall and lean. His skin was dark gray. 2 sharp horns curled from his head. He wore dark armor marked with the symbol of the Black Talon, a red claw, stretched like it was ready to strike. Around him stood his warriors. They were silent, waiting for his command. All of them had trained for this day. Vorik turned to face them. His voice was cold but strong. "The Council has lied to the galaxy for too long," he said. "They promise peace, but they protect only their own power. Earth is their next tool. They will use them to grow stronger." One warrior stepped forward. His voice shook with anger. "Why let Earth join? Why not destroy them with the others?" Vorik raised a hand. "No, Earth is not the true enemy. The Council is. But if Earth joins them, they will become part of the Council's army. We stopped that today." Vorik moved to the center of the ship. A large table showed a map of Helios Prime. Red dots marked their hidden agents already inside the station. "Our people are ready," Vorik said. "When I give the signal, they will strike. The Council will fall before the vote ends. The galaxy will see their weakness. His warriors slammed their fists to their chests. A sign of loyalty. A sign they were ready. Back inside Helios Prime, Captain Daniel Cross kept a close watch on the council floor. He saw the delegates arrive one by one. Some were tall, with long limbs. Others floated in the air. A few were small and round, with glowing eyes. They took their seats in silence. No one spoke unless they had to. The tension could be felt like heavy air. Dr. Ellen Wright leaned toward Daniel. "Still worried?" she asked softly. "Yes," Daniel answered. "Something feels off. I saw 2 guards earlier. They looked nervous." Dr. Wright nodded slowly. "Keep your eyes open, Captain." Daniel touched the small earpiece in his ear. It connected him to Earth's security team. "Status report," he whispered. A voice answered. "All clear, sir. No threats reported." Daniel didn't relax. His gut told him otherwise. He had learned to trust that feeling over the years. It had saved him more times than he could count. Suddenly, the lights in the chamber flickered. Only for a second, but it was enough for Daniel to notice. He stood up. "Did you see that?" he asked Dr. Wright. She looked around. It was just a flicker. "This is a massive station. Power shifts happen." Daniel shook his head. "No, something's wrong. I can feel it." Before Dr. Wright could answer, the speaker stood again. "The vote will begin shortly," the speaker announced. "Let each world prepare their final words." The chamber grew even quieter. Daniel felt his heart beat faster. He scanned the room again. He noticed something. A small door high above the council's seats opened slightly. A figure slipped through. The figure wore a dark suit. It was not a council guard. Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Who is that?" he whispered. He tapped his earpiece again. "Control, check camera feed above Sector 6. Silence. Control, do you copy?" Still no answer. Daniel felt his throat tighten. "Something's blocking comms," he whispered to himself. Dr. Wright noticed his face. "What is it?" "We've lost contact with security," Daniel said quietly. "We may be under attack." Dr. Wright's face turned pale. "What do we do?" Daniel stood straight, looking around again. "We stay calm. We stay alert." Above them, the dark figure moved closer to the council core, the power center of the chamber. Daniel's heart pounded. He knew they were running out of time. Far above, Vorik watched from his ship. A small device in his hand began to blink. His agents had reached their positions. Vorik smiled. He pressed the button. The Grand Hall was silent. All eyes were on the speaker. The council was about to begin the vote. It felt like the whole galaxy was holding its breath. Captain Daniel Cross kept watching the dark figure above. His instincts screamed at him. Something bad was coming. Suddenly, the lights cut out. The entire chamber went dark. Gasps and shouts filled the air. Some delegates stood from their seats, looking around in fear. A loud, sharp sound echoed through the hall crack. The lights flashed back on for a second. Daniel saw blaster fire streak through the air. A bolt of red light hit a guard, knocking him to the floor. Chaos broke out. More shots followed. Screams filled the chamber as delegates ran for cover. Some dove under their seats. Others froze, unsure of where to go. Daniel grabbed Dr. Wright and pulled her down behind a thick metal table. "Stay down," he ordered. He drew his sidearm and peeked over the edge. He saw them, Black Talon agents, dressed in dark armor with red claw marks on their chests. They were everywhere. Some fired from the upper levels. Others rushed toward the council floor. Daniel pressed his earpiece again. "Control, come in. Emergency on the council floor." But there was still no answer. Blaster fire rained down. One of Earth's delegates tried to run, but was hit. Daniel clenched his teeth. He knew they were sitting ducks if they stayed here. "We need to move," he told Dr. Wright. She nodded, trying to stay calm. Daniel leaned out and fired back at the attackers. He took down one agent, then another. But there were too many. Across the chamber, several council members were hit. Their guards tried to fight back, but the Black Talon was better prepared. They had planned this attack perfectly. Suddenly, a deep voice rang through the chamber speakers. "This council is finished," the voice growled. Daniel knew that voice. Vorik Zell. The attackers stopped firing for a moment. Vorik appeared on a large screen above the council core. His yellow eyes burned with hatred. "The Black Talon has come to break your lies. You will not control this galaxy any longer." Daniel felt anger boil inside him. Vorik had planned this attack to make the Council look weak. If Earth fought back too hard, they would be blamed for starting it. But if they did nothing, they would all die. Dr. Wright pulled on Daniel's arm. "We have to get out of here." Daniel nodded. "Follow me. Stay low." He led her through the chaos, using the rows of seats for cover. He signaled the other Earth delegates to follow. A few made it. Others were pinned down or lost in the panic. As they moved, Daniel heard shouts from other council guards. "Earth is behind this," one of them yelled. Daniel's stomach dropped. Vorik's plan was working. Some already believed Earth was part of the attack. "No, we're not the enemy," Daniel shouted back. But no one listened. Blaster shots forced them to duck again. They were trapped near the exit doors. Daniel checked the control panel. It was locked. Dr. Wright looked at him, fear in her eyes. "They'll blame us for this. Earth will lose everything." Daniel shook his head. "Not if I stop Vorik first." He checked his weapon. Only half a charge left. He knew he couldn't fight an army alone, but he had to try. Just then, the door unlocked with a loud hiss. Earth's security team appeared, led by Officer Lena Grant. She was tall, with short blonde hair and a sharp look in her eyes. "Captain, this way," she called out. Daniel waved the others through first. He stayed at the back, covering them as they ran. He fired 2 more shots, keeping the Black Talon back just long enough. When the last delegate passed through, Daniel slammed the door shut behind him. Lena looked at him, her face tight with fear. "They're already saying Earth helped the attackers," she said. Daniel cursed under his breath. "We need proof it wasn't us," he replied. "And we need to stop Vorik before this gets worse." He turned to Dr. Wright. "Can you reach the council leaders? Anyone who might trust us?" She nodded slowly. "I'll try." Daniel looked at the team. "Get ready. We're not done yet." He knew the fight was only beginning. The lights above the escape hall flickered again. Captain Daniel Cross looked back one last time at the sealed doors. The sounds of blaster fire and shouting still echoed from the grand hall behind them. He turned to the team. "We move fast and quiet," Daniel said. "No mistakes." Officer Lena Grant nodded. She led the group down a narrow service tunnel. Pipes hissed along the walls. The air smelled like burned wires. This part of the station was rarely used. It was built for repairs, not for escape. Dr. Ellen Wright walked beside Daniel. She held a small comm tablet close to her chest. She had been trying to contact friendly council members, but no one answered. No response. She whispered, her voice shaking. "Some of them already believe we helped the attackers." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Then we proved them wrong." The group moved deeper into the station. Daniel checked his map. Vorik was likely heading for the Council core, the power center of Helios Prime. If Vorik took control of the core, he could shut down the station's systems or destroy it completely. Daniel knew they had to stop him before that happened. As they moved, a sudden blast shook the floor beneath them. The lights went out for a moment. Daniel grabbed the wall to stay on his feet. "What was that?" Lena asked. Dr. Wright looked at her tablet. "Station power is dropping. Vorik must be attacking the core." Daniel pushed forward. "Move!" They reached a large metal door. Daniel signaled Lena to check it. She pulled a small tool from her belt and began to work. Sparks flew as she cut the lock. The door hissed open, but standing on the other side were 2 Black Talon soldiers. They raised their weapons. "Down!" Daniel shouted. Shots fired. The team ducked back into the tunnel. Daniel leaned out and returned fire. One enemy dropped. The other rushed forward, swinging a heavy blade. Daniel blocked the strike with his arm, his suit taking the hit. He fought back with his own weapon. They struggled, fists and elbows landing hard. Finally, Daniel knocked the enemy down with a sharp kick. The hallway fell silent again. Daniel breathed hard but stayed focused. "Let's go," he ordered. They moved through the open door and entered an old maintenance bay. Broken ships and cargo crates filled the space. Daniel scanned the area. "We're close," he said. "The core is just ahead." Suddenly, they heard voices. Black Talon soldiers were gathering near the next hallway. Daniel counted at least 10 of them. "We can't fight them all," Lena whispered. Daniel looked around. His eyes landed on the cargo crates. "Set up a distraction," he said. "Make it loud." Lena nodded. She grabbed a fuel cell from the floor and placed it on a crate. She set the timer for 10 seconds. Go, she called. The team rushed toward side door. As they slipped through, the fuel cell exploded. The blast threw smoke and fire into the bay. Black Talon soldiers shouted and ran toward the noise. Daniel led the team down a smaller hallway. They moved quickly, using the confusion to get ahead. Finally, they reached the entrance to the council core. The large steel doors stood closed, guarded by 2 council security bots. Their metal bodies glowed with blue lights. Daniel raised his hands. "We're here to stop the attack," he told the bots. The bots scanned the group. One of them spoke. "Earth forces are restricted from this area." Daniel stepped closer. "Vorik Zell is trying to destroy the station. Let's through." The bots paused for a moment. Then they raised their weapons. "Stand down or be fired upon." Daniel's heart sank. Even the station's security was turning against them. Suddenly, Dr. Wright stepped forward. She held up her tablet, showing her Council Idaho. "I speak for Earth," she said, her voice clear and firm. "We are not your enemy. Let's through." The bots paused again. Their blue lights flickered. Finally, the doors began to open. Daniel let out a breath of relief. "Move in. Now." They rushed inside. The core chamber was massive. Bright energy lines ran up the walls, feeding power to the whole station. But at the center stood Vorik Zell and his Black Talon soldiers. Vorik turned as they entered. He smiled. "You're too late, Captain Cross," Vorik said. "The council falls tonight." Daniel raised his weapon. "Not while I'm standing." The team spread out, ready to face the enemy. Daniel knew this was it. One way or another, this would end here. The council core was alive with glowing energy. Bright streams of light ran through the walls and across the ceiling like rivers of power. It felt like standing inside a living heart, beating and humming in the air. At the center of it all stood Vorik Zell, the leader of the Black Talon. Captain Daniel Cross kept his weapon raised. His team spread out behind him, taking cover near the core's support beams. The few remaining Black Talon soldiers circled around Vorik, guarding him closely. Vorik took a slow step forward, his yellow eyes locked on Daniel. "I warned them," Vorik said. His voice echoed through the chamber. "I told them the council was broken. I told them they would pay for their lies." Daniel kept his grip tight on the weapon. "You killed innocent people, Vorik. That's not justice." Vorik laughed quietly. "Innocent? There is no such thing in the council. They protect their own power and crush anyone who stands in their way. Look at you. Your people are nothing but tools to them now." "We came for peace," Daniel replied. "We followed their laws. We waited for this day." Vorik's face twisted into anger. "They never planned to accept you. You were just the next pawn in their game. I'm saving your planet, Captain. I'm showing you the truth." Daniel felt the weight of those words. For a moment, doubt flickered in his mind. What if Vorik was right? What if the council had already decided to reject Earth? But Daniel pushed that doubt aside. You had a choice. You could have spoken with them. You could have tried to change things without killing. Vorik stepped toward the core's control panel. His claws hovered over the buttons. "There is no peace, Captain. Only power. Only control." Daniel's heart raced. He knew if Vorik activated the core controls, he could shut down life support, open the station's outer shields, or worse, destroy the station completely. Thousands would die. Daniel glanced at Lena. She gave a small nod, ready to cover him. Daniel took a slow step forward. "You don't have to do this, Vorik," Daniel said quietly. "It's not too late to stop." Vorik stared at him. His hand lowered slightly from the control panel. But one of the Black Talon soldiers shouted, "Finish it, Vorik!" The moment broke. Vorik's hand shot back to the panel. Daniel didn't wait. He charged forward. Blaster fire exploded around him as Lena and the team opened fire. Daniel leaped toward Vorik. They crashed into each other, falling hard onto the floor. Daniel grabbed Vorik's arm, trying to stop him from reaching the controls. Vorik struck Daniel in the side of the head with his elbow. Daniel grunted, but held on. The two rolled across the floor, fists flying. Vorik was strong. He fought with wild fury. Daniel fought back with everything he had. They slammed into the metal floor, trading blows. Daniel's arm burned with pain, but he didn't let go. Vorik reached for a blade on his belt. Daniel saw it just in time. He grabbed Vorik's wrist and twisted hard. The blade fell to the floor. With a burst of strength, Daniel pushed Vorik onto his back. He held his weapon to Vorik's chest. "It's over," Daniel said, breathing hard. Vorik looked up at him, still breathing heavily. "Do it," Vorik whispered. "Kill me." Daniel's finger tightened on the trigger. He could end it right now. One shot. But then Daniel heard Dr. Wright's voice in his head. "We came for peace." Daniel lowered his weapon. "No," Daniel said. "You'll face the council. Alive." Vorik's eyes widened in shock. Daniel stood and signaled to his team. "Secure him." Lena and 2 others moved in, locking Vorik in energy cuffs. The last of the Black Talon soldiers were already down. The chamber grew quiet again. Daniel turned to the council's security cameras. He knew they had seen it all. He raised his voice, speaking to whoever was watching. "Earth is not your enemy," Daniel said. "We stopped the attackers. We saved this station. We did what was right." He stood tall, waiting for the council to respond. Whatever came next, Daniel knew he had done his duty. The doors of the council core slid open. Daniel stood still as more council guards entered the chamber. Their weapons were raised, their faces cold. Daniel kept his hands visible. Lena and the team stayed behind him, watching carefully. Vorik was on his knees, hands locked in glowing energy cuffs. His soldiers were either captured or unconscious on the floor. The guards spread out around the room. One of them, a tall, blue-skinned officer, stepped closer. His voice was sharp. "Drop your weapons. Now." Daniel nodded to his team. "Do it." Slowly, Daniel placed his blaster on the floor and raised his hands. Lena and the others followed. The blue-skinned officer pointed at Vorik. "What is this?" Daniel took a step forward. "This is Vorik Zell, leader of the Black Talon. He planned the attack. He tried to destroy the station. We stopped him." The officer looked around at the damage. "And why should we believe you?" Dr. Ellen Wright stepped out from behind Daniel. She held her counsel Idaho high. "We have evidence," she said firmly. "The station's cameras recorded the fight. You saw it. We stopped Vorik. We saved the council." The officer's eyes narrowed. He tapped his earpiece. After a moment, his face changed. His voice lowered. "Wait here." He walked out of the core with several guards. The heavy doors closed again. Minutes passed like hours. The team stood in silence. Daniel felt the weight of it all pressing down on him. His body ached from the fight, but his mind raced even more. Would the council believe them, or had they already made up their minds? Vorik sat quietly on the floor. He looked up at Daniel with a small, bitter smile. "They will never trust you," Vorik said softly. "No matter what you did." Daniel stared down at him. "We'll see." Finally, the doors opened again. This time, a group of council leaders entered. The speaker stood in front. His pale skin glowed softly in the dim light. His voice filled the chamber. "We have reviewed the recordings. We have heard your words." Daniel held his breath. The speaker looked around the room. The attack on this council was the work of the Black Talon. The recordings show Captain Daniel Cross and his team fighting to stop them. Earth is not guilty. Daniel felt his heart lift, but the speaker raised a hand. However, the speaker continued. "Some members still doubt Earth's place here. We will now take the final vote." The council leaders left the core. Daniel and his team were told to wait in a small chamber nearby. Dr. Wright paced back and forth, her face pale with worry. "We did all we could," she whispered. Daniel nodded. He leaned back against the cold wall, closing his eyes for a moment. He knew this was it. The moment they had worked for, fought for. After what felt like forever, the speaker returned. He stood tall before Daniel and the others. "The council has made its decision." Daniel stood, his hands clenched at his sides. The speaker paused. "Earth is accepted as a full member of the Galactic Council." A wave of relief hit Daniel. The team let out soft cheers. Dr. Wright covered her mouth, tears in her eyes. The speaker spoke again. "Earth has shown strength. But more importantly, it has shown mercy. You stopped your enemy without becoming like him. You have earned your place here." Daniel nodded, too overwhelmed to speak at first. "Thank you," he finally said. Vorik was taken away under heavy guard. He said nothing more, but as he passed Daniel, their eyes met one last time. Vorik's face showed no anger. Only something else, respect, perhaps. Or maybe a silent warning that this fight was not truly over. Daniel watched until Vorik was gone. He turned to Dr. Wright. "What now?" he asked softly. She smiled for the first time in days. "Now, we take our place among the stars." Daniel nodded. "And we protect it." The team gathered together. They knew this was only the beginning. Earth had earned its seat at the table, but the real work was still ahead. For the first time, Earth had a voice in the galaxy, and Daniel promised himself he would use it wisely. The station's repair crews worked through the night. Drones floated through the halls, welding broken panels and sealing cracks left by the battle. Guards patrolled every entrance. The air felt heavy, but safe again. Helios Prime had survived. Captain Daniel Cross stood at the same window where it had all begun. He watched the stars, thinking about what had happened. Ships from different worlds slowly left the station, their engines glowing softly as they drifted toward their home planets. Earth's flag now hung on the Council's Hall of Worlds, beside the banners of all other member planets. Daniel knew what that meant. Earth finally had a place in the galaxy. After years of waiting, after blood had been spilled, the Council had voted yes. But Daniel didn't feel like celebrating. Lena Grant walked up beside him. She looked tired but proud. "It's done," she said softly. Daniel nodded. "Yes, we made it." Lena leaned against the wall. "Feels strange, doesn't it? We won, but it doesn't feel like a victory." Daniel crossed his arms, staring at the endless black sky. "I keep hearing Vorik's words in my head," he admitted. "He said the Council only cares about power. He said they'd never really trust us." Lena stayed quiet for a moment. "Do you believe him?" she finally asked. Daniel shook his head slowly. "I don't know, but I know one thing. We show them who we are. Not with words, but with actions." Lena smiled a little. "We could have killed him, but we didn't." Daniel nodded. "And that's why we're different." Dr. Ellen Wright joined them a short while later. She looked relieved. Her face had a new kind of calm. "The Council will begin working with Earth right away," she said. "Trade agreements, security talks, cultural exchange programs, it's all starting." Daniel smiled a little. "That's good news." Dr. Wright looked out the window with them. "Earth has much to offer," she said. "But we also have much to learn." Daniel knew she was right. Earth was just one world among hundreds. They were young compared to the other members. But they had proven they could stand on their own. They had proven they could fight for peace, even when it was hard. Later, Daniel walked through the Grand Hall alone. Workers were cleaning the damage left by the attack. He stopped in the middle of the chamber and looked around. This was where it all changed. This was where the galaxy almost fell apart. But it didn't. Daniel reached down and picked up a small piece of broken metal from the floor. It was part of a black Talon weapon. He held it in his hand for a moment, then dropped it. He wasn't going to carry the weight of this fight forever. The next day, Earth's delegation prepared to leave Helios Prime. Their ship stood ready in the docking bay. Daniel and his team walked toward it, ready to return home. As they boarded, Daniel paused and looked back one last time at the great station. He knew they would return. Earth's future in the Council had only just begun. More challenges would come. More choices would have to be made. But Earth had taken its first step. They were no longer outsiders. They were part of something much bigger now. And Daniel was ready to face whatever came next.